Okay.
Andy Sullivan, Blue Collar Corner. Right now we're at the pre-Tea Party party. People are getting together, they're making signs, they're talking politics. Basically just everyday Americans having a good time and working for a purpose. And with me I have one of the directors of Tea Party 365, one of the original founders, and his name is David Webb. David, welcome to Blue Collar Corner. And why don't you tell us and everybody out there what's going on here tonight?
Well, I mean, the bottom line is this is what's going on all over the country. People are coming together. It's a social event, but it's got a purpose. They're making the signs. This is the camaraderie that builds, and this is what threatens the left. Because when you look around the room, what do you see? People who have nothing in common, some things in common, but what they do have most in common is this desire for America. Successful, constitutional, we need fiscal sanity. Whether they're young or they're old, they have a stake in this. This is it. I mean, this is America, no matter whether it's here, the Midwest, the West, or wherever it is.
I think it's hysterical that they portray the Tea Party people as racist and bigots and these, hillbillies from the mountains, all with arms and looking to start some kind of militia revolution. And here you are, an Afro-American, and you started one of the first Tea Parties, I believe, in the nation.
Yeah.
And Afro-American were made up of all walks of life.
Here's the thing. When you have nothing to attack someone with, attack them with a negative. If I call you a racist, now you have to prove you're not a racist. If I say to you, Andy, when did you stop beating your wife? It comes with the premise that you beat her and you had to stop. This is what the left is doing, but the reason it doesn't work is everyday Americans are saying, you know what, I'm not a racist. It doesn't matter what you say, but let's talk about the policies. And when they can't argue the policies with you, when they can only argue this Keynesian left-wing progressive ideology, which has never worked in any country, all they can do is call you names.
True. Now, we started with 30, 40 members, and after the 2010 elections, for that historic windfall of seats that we gained, I mean, they're taking us seriously right now.
Well,
how do you feel about that?
They're taking the effect on the American people seriously. I got to tell you, they're arguing, yelling, calling names, but in Washington, D.C., what they're taking seriously is if the votes go against them. We're not done yet. All right, we have two issues. We have to deal with the progressive left, the Obama administration, and these destructive policies for our country and for the world. But beyond that, there are people within the GOP who, frankly, have been part of the problem.
Establishment guys.
The establishment, the political institutions are bigger than the new freshmen in Congress.
Now these guys, they got two things on their mind. That's getting elected and staying elected.
And getting reelected, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, you go to Congress and you get reelected in 2 years or you don't. So what do these guys do by the time they learn their jobs, start doing their jobs, they start running for office? And the idea of this political class that, frankly, we as Americans have not thrown out at the ballot box. Look, everybody can scream about term limits. We have term limits. It's called the vote. We have it every 2 years with congressmen, every 4 years with a president, every 6 years with a senator. So we need to exercise our rights and vote them out. That's term limits.
Good point, good point. Now there's a saying that I love. You get the government you deserve. If you're going to sit on your butt and, preach behind the computer and not get out there and get in these people's faces,
yeah,
you don't count.
Americans have totally abrogated their responsibility by taking on government. And I'm talking about political education. Now we're reading the bills. Now we're paying attention. Now we're going to town halls. Now we're going out on the streets. Now we're telling the left-wing biased media that we don't buy it anymore, that your liberal lies are not going to work. But out of all of that, they attack us as we want to take the country backwards. No. We want to take the country back to successful principles, back to what makes America that shining city on the hill. It's that simple. Yep, gotta get the Gipper in there.
Yes, it's amazing how that man's speeches from decades ago apply to what's going on here today.
Well, Principles. Look, traditional principles in America. We're a center-right nation. We're a capitalist economy. We're built on innovation, entrepreneurship, things that need to work. Those are the things we need to bring back and take back into America. In the 60s we had, and I'll give you some numbers. Numbers matter. We had somewhere around 15 million people in manufacturing and 8.7 million people working for the government, all the government sectors. Today we have 22.5 million people working for the government and 11.5 in manufacturing. We're not making it. And government has grown while the base of this country has shrunk.
Private sector.
Private sector. When that shrinks, the economy shrinks. When the taxes go down, the economy has a renaissance.
Okay, David, let me ask you about present-day politics, what's going on. What just happened? Do you believe Boehner won or lost?
I'm calling it a push.
Calling it a push.
Let me tell you something.
How does Obama accrue credit for this whole thing? I mean, he's actually getting props for this.
In our system, the president gets a bump, the president gets the blame. But here's what I look at it as. They cut $38.5 billion. Okay, that's a significant amount. But in the time it takes them to get the votes in the House and the Senate to get that $38.5 billion cut, we'll have borrowed $27 billion. What's the net for the American people? $10 billion and change?
And when you're talking trillions, that's just pennies.
Yeah, that's just, and by the way, if it was this hard to get $38.5 billion cut, what's it going to take to cut the trillions we need over decades?
What do you think about Paul Ryan's very, very aggressive attempt to control the budget?
It sounds very good. There's a lot of things in it I like. There's a couple things he's left out that we do need to tackle. The military spending, the budget needs to be in there. The third rail, Social Security, he's mentioned Medicare and Medicaid. But we need to tackle, right, but Social Security and military spending. Look, it's still politics. I think the plan's got a lot of pluses to it, but if it doesn't go beyond there, frankly, if it doesn't go through, it was just a plan.
Okay, David, thank you for your time. Personally, I'd like to take all of Congress's salaries and pull them until this darn country starts making a profit.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Go to work for the people.
Blue Collar Corner signing out.